Why Britain chose the most dangerous man in politics. The 10th of May 1940, Germany invades France, Belgium and the Netherlands at the same time. It is the worst day in British strategic history since Napoleon. And on that same day, that exact day, King George VI summons Winston Churchill to Buckingham Palace and asks him to lead the country. The man the king summons has already caused one of the worst military disasters in British history. He has changed political parties twice. He has praised Mussolini. His own colleagues have spent a decade describing him as reckless, unstable, and obsessed with war. The phrase that follows him everywhere is not a compliment. Only Churchill wants war. Britain is facing the greatest threat to his survival in a century, and it chooses the most dangerous man in politics. That is not desperation, that is a mechanism. Let's go off script. To understand the choice, you have to understand the weight of the case against him. It begins in Gallipoli, 1915. Churchill, as First Lord of the Admiralty, champions a naval campaign through the Dardanelles Strait. A plan to knock the Ottoman Empire out of the war and open a supply route to Russia. The plan fails completely. Over 100,000 Allied casualties, a military humiliation so severe that Churchill is forced to resign from government. He goes to the Western Front as a battalion commander. He rebuilds. He returns to government. He rises again. But Gallipoli never leaves him. Throughout the 1920s and the 1930s, every time Churchill speaks, his enemies invoke it. The man who sent thousands to die on a Turkish beach. The man whose judgment cannot be trusted with the lives of soldiers. And then there is everything else. He has switched parties twice, from conservative to liberal and back again. In British politics, this is considered the act of a man with no fixed principles, an opportunist. Someone who cannot be trusted. He has expressed admiration for Mussolini in the late 1920s, for Franco during the Spanish Civil War. His anti-communism is so fierce that, to many on the left, it blinds him to the real danger on the right. By the mid-1930s, Churchill is a figure of ridicule in Westminster. Brilliant, many concede. Dangerous, everyone agrees. A man who loves conflict so much that he creates it where it doesn't exist. One critic captures the consensus precisely. An anti-conformist, a man of the past, and a dangerous one. This is the man Britain is about to choose. To understand why, you have to go back to 1933. Hitler takes power in Germany. Churchill is one of the first major British politicians to say publicly what he believes this means. Not cautiously, not diplomatic hedging. Germany is rearming. Hitler is different. This ends in war. He repeats this for 7 years, in parliament, in newspaper columns, in speeches across the country. Nobody wants to hear it. Britain still carries the trauma of the First World War. Nearly every family has lost someone. 400,000 dead. Pacifism is not a political position, it is a national mood. Any politician speaking openly about another European war sounds not just wrong, but indecent. Churchill sounds indecent. He is mocked, marginalized, ignored. From his house at Churchill in Kent, he builds an informal intelligence network. Civil servants, foreign office contacts, men who pass him numbers and dispatches that never reach the official record. He uses this information to fuel his speeches. He is more informed than most cabinet ministers about German rearmament. It makes no difference. Then comes Munich. September 1938, Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain returns from Germany, waving a signed agreement. Peace for our time.
We regard the agreement signed last night and the Anglo-German naval agreement as symbolic of the desire of our two peoples never to go to war with one another again.
The crowds celebrate. Most of Britain exults. Churchill stands in the House of Commons and says quietly, "We were given the choice between war and dishonor. We choose dishonor, and we will have war." At the time, it sounds like the words of a bitter, obsolete man. 6 months later, Hitler takes the rest of Czechoslovakia, and here is where the mechanism reveals itself. Churchill has not changed his position once in 7 years, while every other senior politician adjusts their views to match public opinion, softening warnings, embracing appeasement, finding reasons for hope. Churchill said the same thing, repeatedly, at personal cost. By 1940, even the people who despised him knew one thing: he had seen Hitler clearly before they did. Not because he held power, he had known, because he had risked losing everything to say it. So we return to May 1940. Churchill has not changed. Britain has. The same qualities that made him alarming in peacetime, the obsession with conflict, the aggression, the refusal to accept any outcome he hadn't chosen, are now suddenly the only qualities that matter. Inside the War Cabinet, this matters immediately, because after the fall of France, there is a serious proposal on the table. Not surrender, negotiation. Lord Halifax argues that Britain should explore terms with Hitler while there is still an empire left to preserve. The argument is not cowardly. It is rational, strategic. Serious men support it. Churchill refuses completely. His authority in that room does not come from military success. He has almost none. It comes from 10 years of being right while everyone looked away. No one in that room can call him naive about Hitler. No one can suggest he doesn't understand what negotiation would mean. His entire political disgrace, the mockery, the isolation, the years at Churchill watching Europe sleepwalk, becomes, in this single closed room, the argument that ends the negotiation. The man Britain spent a decade trying to silence becomes the only man left worth listening to. Because sometimes the people who sound dangerous in peacetime are the only people prepared for what comes next.
Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duties, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
This was History of Script. You know where to find me.